I am Jessica Butts. Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast, where I help you learn to be unapologetically who you are and live your life from the front seat through personal development, self-awareness, and real and raw conversations about life, love, and business. I'm a former psychotherapist and couples counselor turned author, speaker, coach, and lovingly, well, I hope so anyway, been nicknamed Jessica Kickbutts because I believe sometimes we need hand-holding and sometimes we just need to be told the freaking truth, even if it hurts a little. So each week I'll be sharing truth bombs, life lessons, powerful interviews, and intuitive insights to empower you to get up, show up, and live your life in a new, powerful, authentic way. So if you're ready to climb into your front seat and embark on a journey of total transformation, you have come to the right place. Start your engines. Let's do this. All right, welcome back, Front Seat Lifers. It is your host, Jessica Butts, and as always, I am thrilled to be here. I still have this cough. I am not going to lie, I cannot wait for this cough to go away. So hopefully, James, my amazing podcast editor, can get rid of most of my throat clearings that I will be doing through this episode. But I am super, super excited to bring you today's episode because this is very up for me right now. And we are getting ready for this Live Unapologetically launch. I'm talking about it like crazy. It's coming up on April 7th. But in that, lots and lots of people, even my own mastermind, which is, I'm going to out them a little bit today, has been talking to me about some of the confusion around intuitive types. So it's really led me to want to do some clarifying on this podcast episode today around NPs, intuitive perceivers, and NJs, which are intuitive judgers. So again, I am the creator of Front Seat Life, which is a new, I call it a revolutionary new approach to Myers-Briggs, which it is. And this is part of that, which you will never hear anywhere else because I created it. So lots of times people say, oh, I went looking for these archetypes and I didn't find them anywhere else. And I'm like, that's because I created them. So John Bowlby did his own creation of the Myers-Briggs archetypes. I find them to be nauseatingly difficult to understand. He pairs, I don't know what he pairs. It's something like, I don't know what he does. I should know this. I do know it, but it doesn't matter to you. It's probably just a little too much information. So I'm just going to stop there. If you want to look him up, John Bowlby has his own archetypes. I then created my own archetypes based off of the Front Seat Life method. And that is the second dichotomy and the last dichotomy paired together, which means there's 4. So it's intuitives and sensors and judgers and perceivers. So there's NJs, intuitive judgers, NPs, intuitive perceivers, SJs, sensing judgers, and SPs, sensing perceivers. And I have found through my research, writing a couple of books, working as a couples therapist, psychotherapist, coach for all these years, that there are clearly archetypes, which I cannot wait to bring you over the next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to do a whole bunch of bonus episodes for you. So my amazing content manager was over here earlier. We were having our weekly meeting with the team and our new director of operations, Kristen, and Stephanie looks over at me and she was like, why have you never talked about archetypes? And we both just looked at each other like, I don't know why. On the podcast, I've written about it in both of my books and I talk about it in my courses and programs and things like that, but I've never talked about it. And partially it's because they are fairly small snippets of content. Once you start understanding your overall Myers-Briggs type, my archetypes, the Front Seat Life archetypes, are a bit smaller hence the bonus episodes. So stay tuned for the next couple of weeks, 4 weeks in particular. I'm going to have a bonus episode coming out on Tuesdays for the next 4 weeks over March 2020 of all of the different archetypes. So if you are not driving and you want to take some notes, here are the 4 archetypes, which will also be shown in the show notes, is SJ, which I call the police. You'll know why when I do your episode, but that's not what this episode's about. SPs, which are the adventurers / artists. NJs, which are the entrepreneurs. And NPs, which are my favorites, and they're the squirrels. Again, this is a total teaser, but you're going to have to wait for the bonus episodes to find out more about those. But today in particular, I am going to be talking significantly about NPs and NJs because, again, as I'm getting ready to do this launch, I'm hearing just wonderful things from people. But some of my mastermind group, they reached out to me and said, I don't really resonate. So they're all NJs, by the way. I guess I should be clear about that. They're all NJs. I am an NJ. They're all NJs. So we're very big picture, creative, think outside the box, very entrepreneurial, but we're also super driven, super ambitious, hardcore, kind of get the F out of my way, creative, visionary, like more get done kind of action people than even more ideas. And they were saying to me that they don't really resonate with the word intuitive because they, as strong, driven, hardcore, ambitious women, they think of themselves like that, as do I. I would say I err more on that side than I do the side that they're having a problem with, which is a bit of a woo-woo. So NPs are a bit more woo-woo. NPs are big picture, think outside the box, creative, like all intuitives are. But when you start pairing the letters, this is when shit gets really interesting. So NPs and NJs, again, when we start pairing, this is what I was going to say. I am not. Okay. I hope James keeps this in. So this never happens to me, but I can't fib. I am pretty tired right now. It is 2:00 in the afternoon. I have been on call since 9 a.m. I am not my best in the afternoon. I just want to be done. If I could have a glass of wine right now, I would, but I can't. I got a lot on my mind. And I just told him that I forgot what I was going to say. And I paused for like 2 minutes and was like, can you cut that out? Because I kind of forgot. And then I started again and now I remember what it is. So he's definitely not going to keep the 2-minute pause in there, but hopefully he'll keep my goof up in there because that's just real life. So what I was going to say is, and I've been saying for the last 60 episodes, is that the dichotomies, the 4 dichotomies in and of themselves are utterly fascinating. Introversion and extroversion can change people's lives. Sensing and an intuition, understanding that absolutely changes people's lives. Thinking and feeling, judging and perceiving, those in and of themselves. But when you start pairing them, when you make up the whole Myers-Briggs 16 types, when you put them together in the archetypes like I am, when you talk about your front seat and your back seat like I do in the front seat life methodology, this is when stuff gets really, really rich. It's like the tip of the iceberg is really just the 4 dichotomies, and then it gets so much deeper. So that's what we're doing today, is talking about pairing NPs and NJs and what their similarities are and what their differences are and how we all relate to each other. So as NJs are these driver, hardcore, ambitious, get it done, or like creative vision, entrepreneurs, get out of my way kinds of people, they sometimes don't resonate with the NPs, which are a little woo-woo or a lot woo-woo. They're so full of ideas and they don't love to have to follow through with them. They flit from thing to thing. They are very creative. They're absolutely huge free thinkers. They are very squirrely. They kind of, don't beat me up, but they're kind of wannabe entrepreneurs. Like they have all the ideas in the world, but oftentimes it's very hard for them. Hence why about 90% of my clients are P's, because they have all these amazing ideas, but they have a hard time focusing. And again, they have kind of more ideas than they have more structure. So I found it fascinating that these driven, and I have a bunch of these clients right now. In fact, one of my favorite private clients, she is, that girl is driven. She is just hardcore. She's an INFJ, and she comes to our calls. She is ready to go. Let's get down to business, Jessica. Like, let's go. And sometimes, I will pause and ask her how she's feeling about something. And basically she's just like, let's get going, move on, even though she's a feeler, because she's very J. And so when I think about these two different archetypes around the squirrel and the NJ, I can see how these two people may not understand each other. So some of my favorite people in my life are NPs, and we have very, very different energy. So they are spontaneous, go with the flow, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. And they still have a lot of the characteristics that N's have and I have because they're N's. So the common denominator with NJs and NPs is this creative, visionary, think outside the box. How can we make the world a better place? How many different personality books can we read? How much personal development work can we do? All the abundance, think outside the box, all the different ideas are really about the intuitives. It's just how the last letter, the J and the P, factor in to that intuitiveness. Hey, front seat lifers. Do you have a question about this podcast? You must, because I do this all the time. I am an avid reader, an avid personal development person, and an avid podcast listener. And I'm always listening to podcasts and being like, gosh, I really wish I could ask this person a question about this content. And I have the answer for you about that. So if you are listening, if you're loving the content, which I certainly hope you are, the way that you can get involved further and ask me an actual question, and I will respond directly to your question, is in the Front Seat Squad. It's at jessicabutts.com/squad. jessicabutts.com/squad. And it will take you directly to a free private Facebook group where I do this kick-ass monthly happy hour. I'm having a drink. Hopefully you're having some sort of drink, tea, water, wine, whiskey, whatever you're doing. And join us where I am answering all of your questions once a month live, where we can connect and I see your questions. It was absolutely brilliant, and they will continue to be brilliant throughout the year. So if you want to ask questions, you want like-minded people, you want to learn more, by the way, there's also a ton of free videos in there. We've set up units so you can watch videos from past years. Who are you? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? It's basically the one-stop shopping for all things getting started with your personality type, front seat life, all the things. So go get yourself a spot in there. I can't wait to see you. We're welcoming new members every single week. And then the monthly happy hours are just really quite too much fun for this. All right, I'll see you there. Bye. So here's the deal. I don't want J's to think that they are not this person, the intuitives, because they are driven and ambitious. There is a specialness, a uniqueness that 25% of the population has, and that is this intuitiveness. So if you're a sensor, this might not be the most interesting episode for you, but as I keep hearing this from my clients, I thought I have to do a special episode around this so that you guys really can see the similarities, yet the differences that one letter and our personality can make. So I always like to use my very, very dear friend, Lisa Fisher, as an example. That poor girl. She is just one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my life. She is a dear friend of mine. She is a international stylist and she's just amazing. And she is the epitome to me of an ENFP. She's like off the charts on all of them, as I'm off the charts on all of mine, except she's a P and I'm a J. And so when I think about our differences, she and I went on vacation together about a year and a half ago, and I remember really noticing our differences there. Just this beautiful way of her just going with the flow and being and wanting to talk about her feelings and talk about ideas. And so as an ENFP, her front seat is extroverted ideas, extroverted intuition, and introverted feeling, where I, as an ENFJ, my driver is extroverted feeling, yet my co-pilot is introverted intuition. And so that is a very interesting difference between NPs and NJs as well, depending on your introversion or extrovertedness, because she loves to talk about her ideas. She loves it. It's so fun to watch her like get creative and journal. We have this huge joke that she brought 66 pounds. She tried to pack 66 pounds of stuff with her because she brought all of her books. She just flew all of her books over there because she knew we were going to be sitting on the beach and she wanted all the ideas and she wants to talk about them. But yet as the co-pilot of the intuition I really wanted to focus on my ideas in my head. I actually don't love collaborating. I know that sounds awful. My partner teases me all the time when I have that realization of like, I'm just not a great collaborator. Like, because that might be interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys too, whether or not that's something that you experience and I'm a little all over the place right now. I apologize. Please stay with me. As an introverted intuitive, we don't love to collaborate because the ideas are in our heads. So when I sit down to like collaborate with people, although the only person I'm really great at this is with Stephanie. So Stephanie used to be my director of operations. She's now my content manager. She and I like have like mini orgasms when we're doing it because we love it so much. We're squealing and, oh my God, yes, woo, ah! I mean, we just go crazy because we love it so much. But on average, if you're an introverted intuition, if you have that anywhere in your car, again, you can find the car on my website. It's jessicabutts.com/quiz. Go take it. It's right there. I'd spell it out for you. The quiz is like shockingly accurate. It'll tell you your type, but it will also show you your cars. So if this is like landing on you, but you can't quite visualize it or you don't even know what I'm talking about, go take that. jessicabutts.com/quiz. You can see your car there, or if any of you have any of my books, Live Your Life from the Front Seat or Front Seat Life. But again, you don't even have to spend, I mean, I would love it if you did, $18 on a book. But if you don't even want to do that, there's a free quiz. Because understanding that you might be like I am and have a collaboration problem and not feeling guilty or bad about it, but knowing that my best collaboration is between God and the universe and myself. I am notorious for getting up at 5 a.m. and spending 3 hours, if I have time. I don't always have time to do that, but 5 to 8 a.m. just brainstorming. It just comes to me. Sometimes I meditate, sometimes I exercise, but sometimes I get the epic downloads of what I need to be sharing, those kinds of things. That does not come from collaborating with other people, where my dear friend Lisa, as an extroverted intuitive, it does for her. And so these are just a couple of examples of why people may think that they are a different type than they are when they are the same type. It just matters sometimes of the introversion and extroversion, how that shows up in your car. Is it your driver? Is it your co-pilot? And then the last letters, the J and the P, again, the Front Seat Life archetypes, that stuff is mind-blowingly different. Because again, if you were to see Lisa and I, again, a great example of an ENFP and an ENFJ, we have very similar energy, but if it got down to when we're on vacation in Maui and I'm like, okay, like it's noon, what do you want to do next? And she's like, oh, I don't really care. Like anything. I'm having so much fun. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, let's go do this for about 30 minutes. And then what if we go do this? And then we have happy hour. And she's like, whatever. That sounds amazing. And so that would literally be the conversation we probably had for 7 days. And it was so delightful because she just let me be me and I let her be her and she just would go with the flow. And again, I was trying to not over control things, but like, what if we go here in an hour? And she's like, great. And now I know I've got an hour to just kind of be here and then I can just go with the flow and be there. And this is just, again, the difference of how we are in life, but then also in business. So J's, this is one of my favorite visualizations, and I've probably done this on a different episode, but if you're driving, please do not do this. But if you are probably anywhere else, this would be an appropriate thing to do. You might want to put your hands up to your eyes like horse blinders. So no one's watching you. And if they are, who cares? You put your hands up like horse blinders. That, if you're doing it right now, is like how J's see the world. And NJs still have visions. I'm doing it. It's so funny. I was just like, oh, I'm doing it on my own podcast. You can't see me, but I'm literally doing it. Intuitives still have big visions. They're very creative. They still think outside the box, but they have horse blinders on, meaning ambitious, driven, get out of my way. I know where I'm going. I've got a plan. I've got a system. I've got the structures and I am going to go for it. And again, that's not always great because now I want you to imagine taking those horse blinders off. That is where intuitives live. Intuitives have so many options to them. Like if you put your hands up again, that's a third of what you're seeing. So, this isn't dissing on J's or P's. It's just a fact. This is what type is all about. It is just a fact that J's are literally only seeing a third of the options a lot. And if you're not doing this yet, I encourage you to do it because it really, truly is pretty eye-opening when you do it like this. You put your hands up, you are missing 2/3 of the options. And I see this a lot with my friends and my clients that are NJs. I'm very much the same way as well. I get real hell-bent on what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and in the timeline I am going to do it. And if I've learned anything, it is that God got his own plan and I just got to let him take charge, but that's not the way we like to be. So NPs, you take the horse blinders off and they have 2/3 more options. And this is why they're so squirrely, because they want to go over here and do this thing. They want to go over here and do this thing and squirrel and squirrel and squirrel and squirrel. They want all the possibilities. And we have in common big picture, visionary, creative, think outside the box, free thinkers. We need variety in everything we do. We need variety in our schedule. We need variety in our work. We need variety in our sex life. We need variety in what we're eating, what we're doing. We are always, always planning ahead, regardless of whether you're a P or a J. You're always looking at what can I do next? We're all what-ifers. We are all planning for the future. Where can I go on vacation next? What class can I take next? What course can I take? What can I create in my business for my life? How can I better my child's family or their relationships? This is all we do, right? All the time. Our brain is thinking about how I can do things better or different. That's why I call us the what-ifers. So I hope through this little bit scattered podcast, I apologize. There's just so much to talk about. I mean, it's so funny. We're putting this course together and it's like, there's so much. I mean, and this is why we're literally doing the course, because there's so much to talk about that as an ENFJ, I want to like connect with everybody and I want to do hot seats and I want to answer questions and I want to like dig in deeper, but there's so much to talk about that it just feels like it's never enough. So anyway, that's why we're building this darn course. So every freaking thing is going to be in there. The PDFs, stuff from the book, all the videos, like it's all encompassing. And the whole thought of it is exhausting and overwhelming and awesome. So my friends, I hope this episode was helpful for you too, especially you NPs and you NJs, you ambitious driven, NJs and you like woo-woo creative, flitty, squirrely NPs. I love you both. I love you both. And we're different and we're similar. All right, you guys, I can't wait to see you for the rest of, I guess this is February 28th episode. And then we've got so much goodness coming up in March. I'm going to be doing bonus episodes on the archetypes. And then I'm going to be doing all of the myths for each of the archetypes. That is going to be fun. All right, guys, until next week, have a good one. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.